this was part 4 of my video of my bookshelf walkthrough. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up here. We did kanji and JLPT material last time. Now we're going to start down here with some of the reference books I have. And I have a lot of reference books because at different times I've struggled with different things. And so we're going to go ahead and pick up this book. This is English Grammar for Students Studying Japanese. Now, I'm an English teacher and I'm certified to teach Japanese. And so I think one of the things that I've noticed that students struggle with is the parts of speech. And this is because we stopped caring what a dangling participle is after 3rd grade because we know how to use it. We just know. And so having a book that actually talks about English grammar and how it relates to Japanese grammar is super helpful. So for example, this book talks about what's a descriptive adjective, what's an auxiliary verb, what is a be verb, to be verb, what is a possessive, and things like that. And it walks you through your native language's grammar and helps you apply it to Japanese grammar, so you know what an adjective is, and you know what a noun is, and you know what a verb is, and you know what a pronoun is. And luckily there's not too many pronouns in Japanese, but this is really helpful for that. Let's see, we've got teeny tiny pocket dictionary. I've got another teeny tiny pocket dictionary, and it's real beat up, and it was in my I kept both of these in my backpack for my classmates that didn't have electronic dictionaries when I was in college, because it was just super helpful to have extra ones on hand. This is a Japanese grammar book. This is one of the very first ones I ever purchased. It's all in Romanji, and it's, I don't know, I really wanted to learn out of it, and I didn't. I have a Japanese vocabulary book. Again, this is one of the very first ones I purchased, along with this kanji starter and this Japanese grammar. These were the first ones that I could get my hands on. They were available at I don't remember, Walden bookstore, when Walden existed. These are where I got those. You could probably pick them up at Barnes & Noble. English to Japanese dictionary. This one is absolutely fantastic. You can pick this up. I think the cover's changed a little bit. This is at Barnes & Noble. And you can see I've used it a lot. The spine's all broken and everything, but no, not a whole lot of. It does have you look everything up in Romanji. You can see where it's kind of falling apart right here. So this book, really great. But if you have an electronic dictionary, you don't need a hard copy. But when I was just starting out, I didn't have a cell phone, and the cell phone that I got after that, it was an old Nokia. I mean, it didn't connect to the internet. And now that I have an iPhone, I don't need these. But you know what happens when the apocalypse starts and we can't use our cell phones anymore? I'll be glad I have them. All right. Barron's Japanese verbs, 501 Japanese verbs. This is cool. It teaches you, it helps you with the conjugation, it helps you find verbs, and then you can go through it and it'll give you the conjugation. I intended to get this and use it because it says it's 501 verbs. So I was just going to sit down one day. Obviously it's going to take more than one day, but I was going to sit down and just start learning the verbs out of this, and never got around to that. But I think it's nice to have because, like, it gives you, for this one is chikau, which is to take an oath, to pledge one's word to, promise, or swear. Sounds very close to chikau, but it's chikau. And it gives you the different ways to conjugate this verb. So it's got indicative, imperative, presumptive, provisional, a gerund, which is te form, past indicative, which is ta form. So it's just kind of a handy book to have around for if you're struggling with, because when you get into like Genki 2, you start working on conjugation. So if you start having trouble with conjugation, this is a really great book to pick up and take a look at. Let's see what else we have. Oh, we have the Effective Japanese Usage Dictionary. I'm going to make a whole video about dictionaries because there's so many great dictionaries out here. I took this to Japan because this is one of the most helpful books I have. It helps you through some of those nuances. So, for example, if you don't know the difference between Ida and Ida ni, and the only difference really is the amount of time that's passed between like seconds or whatever. And so the nuances, this book explains that. And so this is just incredibly helpful. I can't even begin to tell you how much I love this book. So, like, for example, this one has urusai, and we all know urusai is like, shut up, you're being annoying, you're noisy, right? Well, there's also sawagashi and nigiyaka. And sagawashi also means noisy or boisterous, and nigiyaka means bustling. And so there's just like some nuance there that you need to like learn. Ureshi, tanoshi, and yukai. You know, ureshi is to be happy or glad. Tanoshi is fun and cheerful, but it can also sometimes be used as happy. And then there's yukai, which is amusing, fun, or cheerful. And so it just walks you through some of those words that are similes and sometimes grammar points. Just really helpful. Can't say enough good things about this. Buy it now. Just stop the video and go buy that book. Dictionaries. Grammar dictionary, beginning and intermediate. I don't have the advanced book because it's really, really expensive. It's like $55 for the book. But these books are really thick. They cover a lot of different grammars, and if you can't find the grammar here, you can always go to jgram.org. Also, I haven't purchased the advanced book because I have jgram. But these talk about grammars that, you know, these books that don't necessarily have great grammar explanations, come here, or go to jgram.org. Really great sources. Love these. I took them to Japan with me too. And now we're getting into some other stuff. I got a journal back here that's never been, well, it was used, but for planning a trip. Particle dictionary. Sometimes particles suck. Sometimes particles are the bane of your existence. That's the case for me. I struggle with particles. This talks about how to use them and when you should use them. And so this is really handy, and I highly recommend this if you're struggling with particles. Then there's so Kodansha did a whole series, and I got some of the old ones, I got some of the new ones. This is how to tell the difference between particles, and this is super great because, like for example, the first unit is all about particles that indicate time and how time passes. And so there's ni kara made made ni kara made, yori hodo gurai kurai, goro koro, and bakari. And so it talks about how these are particles and how to use them, and then it gives you quizzes at the end to make sure of each chapter to make sure that you understand what you're doing. I like this book a lot. It's not been terribly helpful for me, but the explanations are like my application of what this book teaches is not the best, but it's a good book. Like, you can sit down, you can understand it, you can read it, and you're like, oh, I get it. But then when I go to apply it, there's a disconnect there for me. I don't know what's going on. That happens sometimes. Book of adjectives and adverbs. I mean, it's really great to have this kind of stuff because teaches you some conjugation and teaches you some new verbs and how to use them. And so I'm kind of a big fan of these books. I've got adjectives and adverbs. I've got just the plain verbs. And then I have onomatopoeias. So that entire series is really great. Onomatopoeias are great. That's pika pika, pera pera, things like that. So if you want to really like pepper your Japanese with that kind of stuff, this is a really good book to pick up and take a look at. I think the last time I was here, I was looking at different words to express being drunk, and that was kind of fun because I had a friend who was really fun to be with. And let's see, so then I've also got building words in Japanese. This teaches you prefixes and suffixes and like kanji prefixes and suffixes. So if you can learn the prefix and the suffix, you can kind of guess what the words are sometimes. So that's kind of cool. Let's see. I've got Japanese sentence patterns for effective communication. This is really beginner friendly. It has 142 patterns and a lot of practice pages in it. So, like, if for example, you've got a sentence like, I intend to do something, I'm going to do something, and you're like, I want to be able to say this. It has right here, he intends to do, and then it teaches you how to say this word, so tsumori. So, benkyou suru tsumori, I intend to study. Let's see. Got some other stuff here. We've got basic connections, so this is like your conjunctions, so maybe some particles in here. And it's connecting verbs or verb phrases and nouns with, wa and ga and o and no, and so that's kind of helpful if that's where you're having some trouble. Kind of explaining the difference between wa and ga and getting it down right to speak properly, so it's kind of nice. Then there's this book, which is kind of fun, Love, Hate, and Everything in Between, and it's basically the ability to communicate heart-to-heart with people from another culture. And so it helps you develop the skill to use some words, like in Japanese there's three different ways to say you love somebody. You can use aishiteru, you can use suki, and you can use koi. And those are all different expressions, and they all have slightly different meanings, so this book kind of explains that. It's really nice. Let's see. This is Japanese for healthcare professionals. If you're not going into healthcare, this is probably not helpful for you, but I was going into healthcare at one point. I might be going back into healthcare in the next couple of weeks. So this is a really great book if you need to ask people, where does it hurt, stuff like that. And it does have some exercises and stuff. And I like it because if you break it down and you start looking at stuff, it has some models in here that I'm not going to show because it's shows some genitalia. But it has the different words for those things. So if I were to get sick in Japan, which has happened, and I need to go to the hospital, if I've practiced out of this, I can talk to the nurse and the doctors and hopefully get myself a translator who will do a better job than I will. But if I were working in the United States and a Japanese person came in, I might be the only thing that they have. So I'd like to be able to at least ask some basic questions so we can maybe figure out something until we can get a professional interpreter around. Because I lived in Wyoming and there weren't professional translators and there weren't professional interpreters, and so you kind of just like we're out of luck. And Wyoming is a big tourist destination for Japanese people because we have Yellowstone and the Grand Tetons, and so that was kind of where that went. I have the Japanese in Manga Land. I picked up volume 2 workbook because I looked through it and I just saw these beautiful mangas. And the grammar points, I already know all the grammar points, so I thought, well, I'll just do it for myself. And then I didn't ever do it, so. I don't know how this book is, but I know a lot of people come into Japanese because of Japanese anime and manga. And so if that's kind of what's driving you, this is a nice place to start. But it is in Romanji, and that's oh, I lied, it's not in Romanji. It does have Japanese writing, so that's good. You can take a look at that and see that. Somewhere there is Romanji, and that made me sad. But you can see here that this is all in Japanese, so if you want to learn the manga way, this is not a bad series to go with. This is the book, Japanese in Manga Land. I think this is book 1. And this is where the Romanji was that I was really right here. It's Romanji underneath there. So we all know how I feel about Romanji by now, right? Yes, we do. Not a big fan of it, but this is kind of a neat book if you want to learn how to read manga and you don't really know where to begin. I wouldn't start here. I would start with Pinky Book, but this is not a bad supplement. If you use this as a supplement and not as your main study material, I think you could have a really good time with this. I have Japanese the manga way. Because I like comic books. And so this gives you some of the grammar points, kara, and this one is like no de. And so it talks about how to use them, and it gives you some examples from mangas. It's kind of nice, and I heard at one point that this was supposed to work with the Manga Gene books, but I don't have any of the Manga Gene books, so I don't know if it really does work, but that's just what I heard. It's neat. Okay, now we're breaking into some of the native material. So I'm going to go ahead and cover just these last couple of books before we get into that. This is Japanese Today. This is a new approach to mastering Japanese written Japanese, and this is probably should go up with my kanji books because it's really more about kanji than it is anything else. But for example, it talks about how kanji evolved, and so let me find a page that's I bookmarked this page. Why did I bookmark this page? I don't remember why I bookmarked this page. Must be where I left off. Anyways, it talks about the evolution of kanji and kind of, but there's better books that do that. This is really old. This is again one of those very first books I got when I didn't know what I was looking for and I didn't know what I needed. This is one of the beginner books that I got. If you want to start reading real Japanese, there are readers to read real Japanese. And this one has books from Sakamoto Ryuichi or Yoshimoto Banana. And this is the actual, like, some Japanese essays or novels. And then it's got the Japanese here and then the English over here. And it does break it down under here with some Romanji, but it's not bad. And there's a couple of them out there. There's the Read Real Japanese and there's Breaking into Japanese Literature. I think this is the old version. It's now a blue cover. Like I said, I've got some old stuff and I've got some new stuff. And then this one, I really like this one because this one has Natsumi Soseki and Akutagawa Ryunosuke in it. And as you can see over here, I'm a big fan of Japanese lit. So this was really cool. And then I've got these two bilingual readers, Once Upon a Time in Ghostly Japan. So it's kind of like Kaidan books by Leif Kato Hearn, except that it's the Japanese version and then it's the English translation on the next page. So I like that because that's kind of my area of expertise. I really enjoy ghost stories in all languages. And then I have Once Upon a Time in Japan, and this is like Momotaro and just like folk tales, fairy tales. Let me see what else we've got in here. We've got Tanabata, Kintaro, Kaguya Hime, Kachikachiyama, and what's this one? Urashima Taro. I've never read him, so I would have to read that to let you know what that is. But so that's the end of my readers. Oh, I do have these too, these readers. These are also Japanese folktales, Kintaro, Urashima Taro-kun, Inchai Samurai, Momotaro, and The Moon Princess. And these are really cool because the pages are super pretty. And my Japanese teacher way back in high school started us on these. I just love the artwork on the inside, and then down here is the Japanese and then the English translations. And so these are really nice if you're looking for kind of a bilingual reader and you want some fairy tales. At one point, this is what I really liked was fairy tales, but then I moved into ghost stories, and I really like that. So, all right, that covers that. So when I come back for the next video, I'm going to talk about some of the native material I own, and we'll probably get into my living abroad books, like books on how to get a Japan Rail Pass and living abroad in Japan, teaching English in Japan, and like little Japanese handbooks, the travel books that you would use to, God, I don't know what these are called. A phrase book. So, I'll get to those next time. Thanks for watching.